You realize deep way under the surface, and like a fire needs coal in the furnace. This is your goal that makes it all worth it. This is your why that gives you your purpose. Let's go. Thoughts can keep you down, pushing deep until you drown, or they can keep you up strong, focused on the now. Glass half full, or has it been emptied out? Well, that's all up to you and your mind. Do you doubt anything, everything, not a thing? Make my thoughts work for me, manifest what I need, what I want, what I see. I could be anything, I attract all the things that I see. I believe I'll achieve as I breathe in and out again and again. I don't doubt, I sit in a plan and I found out that I can execute if I'm driven, if I listen, if I learn all the wisdom. Read some books, something written, watch the best. Teach a system I invest, never hidden, I ain't scared. Ain't no chicken, I take dares. I'll be winning, you get back what you're giving. Find the reason that you're living, what you're good at, all your gifts and what you love. Take a risk and find out what you've been missing. You realize deep way under the surface, and like a fire needs coal in the furnace. This is your goal that makes it all worth it. This is your why that gives you your purpose. You realize deep way under the surface, and like a fire needs coal in the furnace. This is your goal that makes it all worth it. This is your why that gives you your purpose.
Welcome to the party, pals. GRC Mafia. Right out of the gate, we are here to break down barriers, foster collaboration and community, working towards a more secure future for everybody. Definitely a learning and growing environment. Now, this is our Friday AMA. Every single Friday at 11 a.m. Central, we go through and have just an open stage AMA. I'm actually going to go through and drop the stage link right now if you guys want to come into the green room. Definitely feel comfortable to come up on stage if you would like to. You do not have to turn on your video if you choose not to. Just your microphone's good enough if you'd like to. Otherwise, you can hang out and chat as well. The best place to post your social media profiles and so forth, if you want to connect on LinkedIn or other platforms and so forth, or if there's resources that you guys want to share, posting those links through the live chat channel on Discord is the best way to do that. The Discord invite is in chat there as well. Definitely throughout, especially sessions like this, ask questions, share resources and so forth. If you guys have anything in particular, this is definitely the best place to do it. Otherwise, inside of Discord's a great spot as well. And if I don't know somebody or somebody else doesn't, then I'm pretty confident we could, figure out who might know something. Worst case scenario, I'll just, call PBO on the phone. Or we could just, talk smack about 853 and he probably will show up. We'll give that a try here in a moment. Don't share anything that you don't want to be public. If you happen to do so, reach out to me on Discord, LinkedIn, or contact@studygrc.org. Let's see here. There was a couple other things I was going to go ahead and throw out here as well. If you guys are not familiar, we did update the website itself. If you check out our website, you can also scroll down here. You'll see all of our primary links up here at the top. And then we also added more detail on like what our mission is, what our objectives are, and so forth, and a little bit about our history too. But also one of the key things here is our resources, the live streams, Coffee with the Mafia, the Discord community, curated news feed, and then also our resources page as well. One of the big things I wanted to shout out is I did just update this. So this is the page for Coffee with the Mafia. I'm going to go ahead and drop that here as well. This actually goes through. Anybody can utilize this. This is a completely free resource, 100% volunteer ran. Nothing in exchange. We don't want you to donate. We don't want anything in exchange whatsoever. I added a video talking a little bit about it as well. You could go through here and you could book an appointment with one of the volunteers. So I believe we have 8 people right now. That's randomly selected. And then you just go through, you select a time, you fill out some information, including what you're interested in. Like maybe you need help with a project, or you're looking for brainstorming for a project, or you're looking for maybe a mock interview or something along those lines, in which case you can provide as much detail as possible to give them a heads up and be more prepared for it. And yeah, there you go. Problem solved. So definitely wanted to throw that out there. That's also in chat. And then also I wanted to do like another community announcement on this too. Let me move over here. So there was another community member that ended up getting scammed again, actually. And I just wanted to remind everybody, leverage community, throw it in Discord, be like, hey, how does this look? What are your guys' thoughts on this resource and so forth? You know, hey, I got contacted by this person. Do you think that this is legitimate? And so forth. Like there's absolutely no harm in going through and getting that other opinion. I highly recommend at least 3 different individuals that are not related to that particular resource or otherwise, just to have a more well-rounded perspective. Or maybe there's other better options out there as well, especially when it involves money. There's a lot of different people out there that are literally just feeding off of people who are, quite frankly, desperate. You're trying to get into the industry. You've been doing it for six months, 12 months, 2 years, and you just want something to work and everything else. And you get hopeful. And I've seen so many different people get become a victim because of that. And a lot of this stuff leverages phishing tactics, really is what it comes down to. Urgency. They give unrealistic expectations on, oh, you'll have a 6-figure job in 3 months or whatever it is. You know, oh, you can't. A lot of stuff that I've seen too, they'll be like, oh, you know, you've been doing this for 6 months. You absolutely won't be able to do anything unless you pay us money. So definitely go out there, leverage the community. There's so much, so many awesome people that are out there. Same thing in multiple other communities. You know, like I said, get different perspectives. You could drop the questions and whatnot in Black Hills. You could drop it over there in Simply Cyber. You could drop it in our Discord. You could drop it over in Cyber's Discord. That's my biggest recommendation. Just leverage the community, because it really sucks to see that happen to people. So, yeah. Let me go through and throw this in again. But yeah, I really wanted to really pressure that point on just leverage the community out there. Welcome to the party, pal, Evan and B-Dubs, KP's hopping in, AB, Ben Tech, Space Tacos, GRC Mafia. Let me double check on chat here because I'm actually kind of upset about that whole situation. Did you all hear NIST is amending 853 to include AI LLM output as failing under the purview of GRC instead of IT? You know, that actually sounds really believable. Let's see. Wait, what? Coffee? What? I'm not even. It's too late in the week for that, Space Tacos. Come on. Need those non-biased opinions. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Is that, like, I'm not out there being like, oh, hey, drop it in our Discord. No, don't. Like, drop it in our Discord, but do it in 3 or 4 other Discord and communities as well. Because getting that diverse perspective is extremely important. Let's see here. Oh, gosh. Yeah, so PBO, did you hear about that? They're amending 53 but, for GRC. So they're adding in the AI perspective there. I can't hear you. Come on, no. PBO, struggle stream. There you are.
Struggle streaming. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, I didn't hear that. You know, NIST is always gonna keep up. They're a little late, but they always gonna add it. You know. So you know, they not on time. They right on time. That's old black gospel. You don't know nothing about that. That's what they used to say.
I mean, hey, in a minute, NIST is just going to be like, "Oh, use these AI tools instead."
I'm sure they come out. There's zero trust. They're naming a lot of tools in there. I was going to do a zero trust stream. They got the AWS services.
You've done like 3 of them.
I know, but we got to keep up. I probably haven't done a zero trust probably in a year, probably.
I'm going to pull this other one up too. B-Dubs, yeah, definitely start with the free stuff too. That's like our whole thing with the resources page is going for free first and then low cost. Facts. But yeah, there's no point to just jump into something. So
yeah, AWS
PBO with over 800 different videos, and I mean it's got to be over 5,000 hours.
Yeah, easy. But 2 is, you know, I'm an AWS fanboy. AWS got a you go out there training, they got a lot of free stuff, and your guys are pretty good. Cybery, am I pronouncing that correct? Cybery,
cyber, without the e.
Yeah, I don't like how they spell it, but that's a whole different conversation for a different day. But they have a lot of great content out there. So, and I want to give it a shout out to B-Dub. She ran the stream flawless yesterday without Chris. So shout out to B-Dub. So,
ouch, personally offended.
Yeah, she had that. My favorite shout out. Shout out to her. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. A total suck up is what my thought is. Yeah. PBO's presenting, so let's put his shirt on. I'm curious if that QR code actually works. Let's see. B-Dubs also says, I hate LinkedIn for all of those sus DMs I get. Yeah.
Facts.
I get DMs all the time that are like, hey, pay me $500 and I'll get you to pass the CISSP. Like that's instant block and report.
And I'm not going to have you put my banner up. I'm going to say it judiciously. There's a certain demographic I always get that's trying to sell me something on LinkedIn. And as soon as I get that please, link, I go block. Block.
Yeah, Ben Tech mentions it too. I wanted to see if you're interested in making some extra money. Yeah. No. And like honestly, what I see most commonly is it's they're trying to catch those people who are at that point of desperation where they are just doing anything and everything they can. So they may spam 5,000 people, but even if 2 of those people pay them money, like,
especially where they're from, $1 is gonna be super strong. Facts.
Yeah.
Facts on that, but yeah.
Yeah, LinkedIn is also some major privacy issues. I mean, hey, we're only a few steps away to where we're going to start requiring PGP keys in the Discord server.
Shout out to PGP. One of my favorite, yeah. One of my favorite encryption.
Yeah, and there was a question yesterday about the post-quantum publications from NIST. I actually skimmed through those the other day, ironically.
Yeah,
it's bad. It's very confusing. I understood maybe 10% of the words.
Yeah, for me, like I forgot the lady's name. Oh my God, I can't even think of her name. But look, for my purview, once again, they tell as long as this fits 140-3, I let them handle all the arithmetic and ciphers and rounds you need to do to be secure, right? So, but yeah, if quantum comes in effect, all the encryption is gonna be toast. So.
I don't know if this is a legitimate joke or not.
No, is it? I think she's serious.
Yeah, because that is also like another serious thing is the fact that like it's 100% plausible for somebody to start impersonating people. So
yeah, if you received a message from B-Dubs, it was not from this B-Dubs. I can 100% say that this is either not true or a joke.
Oh wow! Look, B-Dubs is up on stage. What?
Facts.
I know. I got summoned. I had to defend myself here.
Facts.
Yeah, if you guys ever come across somebody who's impersonating, definitely let that individual know directly. Like, and especially if they're requesting money or trying to get PII.
Facts.
I'm assuming Space Tacos is probably joking.
I don't
and nobody's impersonating B-Dubs.
I don't know. You're an influential, I can't even talk. You're an influential member of the GRC community now, B-Dubs. They impersonate you now.
Influencer. So
no,
not influence. Yeah, influence. I was trying to say, man, I can't even talk today. I'm
B-Dubs
influential.
Yeah, I messed it up.
B-Dubs does not want to be an influencer, thought leader. Insert any word there. No. B-Dubs is just B-Dubs.
Okay, so
I do my thing.
Did confirm that it was just a joke. I just find it believable knowing.
I thought it was her paid membership. Facts.
B-Dubs does not send DMs asking for personal information. Disclaimer.
Trust no one. Facts.
Yeah, trust no one. This is the way. Yeah, don't trust. Verify.
Now we the Mandalorians. This is the way.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Disney.
Never trust, always verify.
That's why I don't do QR codes. I don't trust them.
Oh gosh. Well, your t-shirt has a QR code on it.
I know.
Facts.
That was done against my will.
Yes, we need to double check that QR code actually works, though.
Let me see. I'll check it right now.
So shout out to everybody that joined us last night. I'm gonna say it's a great stream. Shout out to me. It's a
I
great
got
stream.
so many comments and everything else, like DMs about PBO and his, spiciness.
I wasn't even spicy last night. I don't think my banner went up once last night. I don't think
Did
I
you
got
see
one.
the quiz? Well, that sounds like a producer defunk there.
No, she was on it. I didn't do anything spicy. I didn't even get close to anything spicy. We stayed on task yesterday.
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting because there is analytics behind the QR code. And so it does tell us how many scans of the QR code, at least for the one that's on the screen. The one on PBO's shirt is not trackable at all. But I was surprised to find that people actually do scan the QR codes on the screen in the replay, especially. But I know how much PBO hates QR codes, so we had to put one on his t-shirt. And it was easier than putting the whole YouTube name on there.
Facts.
Welcome to Party Pals, Priceless Pancakes.
Shout out to Priceless.
So what's new? What's going on? Did you guys see the quiz that we now have?
No.
So I posted a quiz earlier. So we have the weekly badge that anybody can go through and get. We are definitely anti-paywall, so we wanted to set it up in such a way that, if you come up to our, primary weekly session, which is on Thursday nights, you guys can go through and get the GRC Mafia badge that unlocks the Badge Hunters channels and a Golden Finds channel as well. All you have to do is just show up to our weekly session and you can obtain that. Unfortunately, not everybody can attend, of course. And so something that we kind of brainstormed last night or early this morning, I get days mixed up considering how early, but doing a quiz instead. So I actually went through and generated a quiz for KP, and we could take the transcripts from the video, from the Thursday day video. And then if you guys were unable to obtain the GRC Mafia badge, if you'd like, I can generate the quiz, send that over to you and so forth. And then you can, take a screenshot and prove that you answered those questions, with, 80% or higher or something like that, to prove that you watched the video or otherwise. And I posted a update in the Discord server related to it. Let me go ahead and throw this in chat.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, PBO, but I failed the quiz, so I guess I wasn't listening to you last night.
Yeah, that does make sense.
I got 60%.
No, I was all over the place. We didn't focus like that. We kind of freestyled last night.
I was distracted keeping up with chat and all of it.
People don't realize how hard that is. It took me a while to get used to speaking and looking at the chat. And I don't have a lot of people in my chat. I think y'all got more people than me. So,
well, I was listening, but I definitely missed some things as made apparent by the quiz.
Priceless.
But I posted my results so that, people wouldn't feel bad if they missed questions.
Facts.
Yeah, so I just wanted to mention that fact. So if you guys are unable to get the badge, you can always request the quiz, because we're not trying to gatekeep it or anything like that.
Facts. So
providing some type of additional team replay option, I think, is a valuable thing to do. Real quick, Priceless Pancakes says, how are things going with the coffee with the Mafia? One of the biggest things is just having that available for the community. If you guys come across somebody who could leverage that, definitely send it over to them, share it around and so forth. Same thing with our resources page. It's just community built, community driven. We've gotten a few different registrations already. I will say that we have also gotten a couple of people who were no-shows as well. What? So that's actually why I went through and if you take a look at the page, I just uploaded this video here that also outlines not only the purpose, but then also the fact of go through and reschedule, cancel, take into account on the fact that when you, go through and schedule one that, you could reschedule or cancel it if you're not able to make it. So that way it opens up for other people as well, just to respect everybody's time. But the biggest thing is just having that available for community. We got to get PDO added on there. The only problem is I'm kind of tired of having to be his virtual assistant.
Yeah, you'd probably have to let him know like 5 minutes before his meeting starts.
Facts. That's
be more work for you.
That's the charge of getting me in here. That's the price to get me in here. Now, shout out to Chris, though. He do help me out a lot. I be struggling in Discord. Chris be like, did you see these? No, I didn't see those. Even though they added me, I didn't see them. I don't know what the hell happened.
And AB, yeah, B-dubs has God powers, so the green check mark doesn't actually apply to B-dubs. That's why she has her own badge and everything else. So as the VP for Study GRC,
shout out to the VP.
She has to be able to stand in place when, you know, I don't want to, like last night.
Facts.
Yeah, I have to monitor all channels, so I have to have access, right?
I mean, I totally wasn't even here last night at all. Zero.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Yeah, definitely not an important event outside of
Mr. Nine
everything.
Questions. He wasn't there.
Yeah, you're not
questions.
You're not good at taking days off, that's for sure.
Facts.
Yeah, I scheduled that out like 2 months ahead of time, and I still ended up attending for most of the session. Priceless Pancakes talking about how it's hard.
It's hard out here for a pimp. Oh, I guess I can't say that on the GRC.
Oh my gosh.
Shout out
Come on, PPO.
Hustle and Flow, one of my favorite songs. But yeah, Chad, maybe we need to do a phase 2. A lot of people are asking me to go more in depth on risk management. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of different stuff out there.
There is.
Yeah, I mean, that's just one of the biggest things. That's why I added a short video to it to also, you know, stress that point. Like, just respect people's time, especially as volunteers. I'm just trying to catch on chat, and then I think I'm pretty much caught up here.
Well,
and then we also got this here.
Ooh.
So, Rawman, hi, I'm a business analyst planning to transfer to GRC. I found this YouTube and joined your Discord. I have my Sec Plus, but I'm new to GRC. What is a good starting point? Thank you. What do you think, B-dubs? I mean, B-dubs has some paid membership.
I do not.
Stop hating on B-dubs, man.
People are going to start believing that that's real.
I'm starting to believe it.
I know. B-dubs does not have any paid memberships. I do not have any. I mean, I do have paid memberships, but they are not paywalls. They don't unlock anything extra. I don't have boot camps.
Shout out to the boot camp.
I'll circle back to this in just a second, but also in regards to that, something to mention is what B-dubs does do is publish a GRC cybersecurity related article every single Monday for $0. Each and every single one of these goes through, and she started adding read along videos, so you don't even have to read the articles. But she also goes through and typically adds some fancy infographics, which I don't see on this latest one.
B-dubs been slacking.
Yeah, but it's completely $0 and so forth. Alongside that, not only does she also volunteer for the Coffee with the Mafia, which is 100% volunteer ran, but then also the only paid stuff that she has whatsoever is just donation options if you want to help support the cause. One of the biggest things that she did do is the CISSP study group, which is literally covering all of the domains for the CISSP for $0, available on YouTube, along with hundreds of quiz questions and so forth too.
Yeah, there's almost 300 quiz questions.
So, but I do joke about her having paid membership and so forth all the time. But as you can see here, literally all it is just to help support the passion and, you know, so forth. You don't get anything for it.
Facts.
I just like giving
no
her trouble
paywalls
about it.
No paywalls. Yeah. Ever.
B-dubs is extremely bad at
ever
that.
I won't say that. I won't say ever. You know, people make that mistake, but I'm kidding.
No, you good.
Did you guys have some input on this though?
I mean, there's a lot of different places to start. You have Security Plus. I mean, really, it would be getting into those hands-on projects and building out your resume and starting to apply for stuff since you have the Security Plus. And then tailoring that resume to GRC. Definitely send your resume to our contact form, and we do our job readiness streams on the last Thursday of every month, and we can tell you how bad it looks live and on stream.
You are welcome to join the stage if you want, Priceless Pancakes. The stage is open to anybody. All we ask is, be somewhat business casual. Yeah, I think it requires a lot more detail. This is exactly what like Coffee with the Mafia is for, so you can get a more tailored response. Because there's so many different open variables on what your background is, what your skills are that's transferable, what area of GRC are you interested in? Do you plan on going into healthcare? Have you looked at some of the positions available in your area? Even GRC is extremely broad as well. So my original thought process was like, oh my God, I got to learn 50 frameworks, but in all reality, that's extremely false. Very false. Trying to get the foundations down and then find a focal point to focus on and then also networking is a massive thing. If you can go to in-person meetups and so forth, there's on our resources page, we have, let me grab it real quick. So on our resources page, we have a resource here, InfoSec Maps, that you can check your local area to see what kind of local meetups and so forth might be available. Drop in that chat. Welcome to the party, pal, Steph.
Oh, hey.
Is Steph Priceless Pancake? Is that
no?
You? No.
I was confused. I was a little confused for a minute. I was like, well.
Yeah, a lot of the trouble that I have with this question is that GRC is so large. It would be easier to give a better, more tailored response with a conversation.
Facts. My first question is, what were you a business analyst to? Right. I love BAs.
Right.
They do all the stuff I hate to do. Did you do it in healthcare? Did you do it in a federal space? Because that knowledge will help you transfer into certain domains in the GRC. So that would be my first question. And Steph, I had a question for you. I'm going off topic.
Uh-oh.
Did you say you were doing a trust center?
Yeah.
Okay. I did a stream. I was telling people why I hate trust centers yesterday. It made me think of you. I don't hate trust centers. Long story short is trust centers now, they don't combine them to the MSA. So a lot of times when you do trust center, they tell you in a document, we can change them anytime I want. Well, I'm like, well, if you can change them anytime you want, why the hell am I reviewing them? So that's kind of some of my trust center. I think it's a scam type language.
Oh, we just needed a platform.
Oh, I know. Go ahead. Yeah.
Self-service for our non-NDA stuff, which is like the majority of what people want. And then a way for like sales when we're doing like sales pipeline work and automating it. It'll give me time back because right now we're using like a secure file sharing service and I have to like add that. Like it's just time away from like projects. And then having a consolidated knowledge base is like really big. Like that's another feature you get. So I can like pump in like old questionnaires and documents and like search for stuff because questionnaires, when we get those big questionnaires, they ask the same question, but in a different way. And then we do get like a certain amount of like AI credits for answering questionnaires, which for the really long ones with those ones that are like, oh, it looks like it's 100 questions, but it's really 300 questions because they appear as you go. It gives me so much time back. And then it's so much easier to have like my boss, who's the CISO, like just like do a quick review to make sure the answers. I'd say we did one with it. We just adopted it. So like I got to do the first one and it was okay. You still need a lot of human review. I'd say like 50% of the questions were not read.
I saw that on one of the platforms for that. where it did like half the work for you.
Yeah.
It does help. I mean, it cuts down. I mean, if you're thinking about spending 3 to 5 minutes a question and you've got 300 questions, like, I mean, you're spending
I told the
4 hours, like a whole week on it. And then you have to go back and make sure, like, and then just trying to find everything. So for me, like having a consolidated knowledge base and like occasionally being able to use AI to fill from our like policies and stuff is it's nice. Like I'm looking forward to
and the
using it
big
and having it.
the big guys now, because when I worked for a big company, people would do stuff I needed because we were spending a lot of money. But when I worked for a smaller company, they told me pound sand, go get it out the trust center. Pretty much, they said, we're going to charge you if we got to answer a lot of questions, because you said your team can spend a ton of questions asking the same question all the time now. So they send a lot of times they send you to the trust center. So a lot of times in the trust center, I could probably get 95% of my questions answered. So
no, I'm doing I'm trying to crank out our third-party vendor review before, like most of it before I go on vacation, and it is really not like more places having it. And then if you already have an NDA signed, like it should just most of the time it'll just recognize that you're already a customer and have signed it, and so I don't have to like bother my boss constantly because technically I can't sign NDAs. So
yeah, that was one thing. It took me a while working for a big company. When I got an NDA, I had to send it to legal, even though it looks fine. They want to read it before I sign anything. I'm like, dude, they're just asking me for the standard information. They're like, legal's got to see it.
yeah, we're not that picky. We need to review out for our trust center. We need like to go to legal to make sure that our ClickWrap NDA is going to be what it needs to be, because we have a mutual NDA and it doesn't make sense for the ClickWrap one because it's then we'd have to sign it too for it to.
Yeah,
I'm still working on all the documentation for Study GRC itself, and my plan is just to upload it all into a public notebook LM.
I mean, I think that's fine. Trust centers are expensive, so like we just decided that for scaling ability and being like as a company, and then once our other products that we just acquired, like we want to eventually, because we're like going through, we just had a gap assessment, and then we're going to be in the next year going through a SOC 2 with them. It's not very much money to add on like a second product onto it. So like it just makes sense. Like it's just nice. It's something that customers want. Like it's mostly important for if you are like a customer serving like a business to business and like SaaS product like we are. I don't think it would make sense if you're like a intern, you don't have to provide those documents. Like you don't have hundreds of customers a year asking you for those. Like we're in the financial sector, so like they have to do according to the SEC, or at least for now, they're supposed to, have cybersecurity policies and review them, and part of that is reviewing your third-party vendor.
Yeah, 100%.
Stuff. So like I'm excited for it just to have a consolidated platform. It's going to make communication so much easier.
No, I agree with that. Like I said, just some slight minor issues I have, and most companies aren't gonna have the issues I have. So
that's true.
It makes perfect sense. I've been doing this so long. I ask for super detailed stuff. Most people don't really understand. So
Prexy even got a reminder today that even free software has to be sent to legal for review. And I think even free software may be even that much more important, to be honest with you.
It is, because open source, they got like 4 different licenses, and depending on what licenses you use, it gets crazy. So that's probably a stream I'm going to do, talking about open source and the licenses from a GRC perspective.
Yeah, we don't send them to legal, but we require that anytime anybody wants to basically use anything, that they send it to us for security review, because we just need to know if there's like any kind of customer information involved or PII or what's going on. It can be hard to do.
Facts.
Also, Ramen, Space Tacos also mentions her server as well.
Facts.
So I also dropped that in chat. So if you guys do !tacos, then it drops it in chat. That's another Discord server, the GRC Audit Treasure Trove, which is all from Space Tacos. It's just like a personal archive. So it's different than most servers. There's only one channel you can actually talk in, but it's more of like an archive for you to go and search and find new things in the GRC realm. And then also another mention here is Space Tacos. You don't need to worry about having to take quizzes every single week for the badge. Just if you do miss the meeting and you still want to get the GRC Mafia badge, then we're going to ask people to take the quiz, just to make it fair for everybody. I think having that second option for team replay is a good thing for community. Let's see. And then also we had this too. So what's the best approach to a third-party risk assessment for someone like me that has a small size business? I use a variety of third-party vendors.
I guess my first question is, when you can always decline, is, are you just a regular business? You do banking, you do federal work, you in HIPAA? That's going to tell you really what's going to drive your risk assessment. Now, if you're just a standard business doing some risk assessments, right? I always do the standard checkbox, policies, procedures, the management style,
Business enablement,
breach notification. So those are the things. Sorry, somebody's pinging me at work. But yeah, so that's what it was. So depending on what type you were doing in that, so that. But yeah, once again, I would just do the standard assessments. I need to drop. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. Yeah, PBO can't really help community if he loses his job as much. So.
Yeah, I would say doing a risk assessment on your like listing all your vendors and thinking about like what type of data do they all have and like what would happen if that data was leaked, like what's the worst case scenario, and then going through and ranking them, and then you're gonna want, like, if you're talking about doing due diligence on them, reviewing their like terms of service and their privacy, which, as much as I like to trash AI, it's very, very useful for reviewing privacy policies in terms of service, of like giving you a good overview of like how your data is being stored and where it's being stored and things like that. Yeah. And then just like if it's storing any kind of private information, if you want to get a copy of if they have, what kind of security do they have, if they're storing PII information, and reviewing their SOC report if they have it, and anything else that they're offering. Even if you might have to sign an NDA to get full SOC reports, like their pen test reports and any of their like InfoSec policies. You shouldn't have to spend any money to ask them for it. It's just yeah, so a lot of times they'll give you a summary if you don't want to sign an NDA.
Yeah, I think the primary pushback that I've heard about is just like the questionnaires. There's more and more companies that are refusing to fill out the questionnaires unless you meet a certain financial.
Oh yeah, like so as someone that works for a pretty small SaaS company, like we don't send questionnaires out to our third party. The way that we conduct our like third party yearly vendor due diligence is I just usually go to their trust center, or I email their support and say, it really depends on, like, I have a list of our main like core applications, that anything that houses any kind of PII or is a core like functionality piece of our application, that's storing any kind of data. And then I just usually, like, I would say in the last few years that like 50 to 75% have a trust center that you can just go to and download what you need and review it. And then we just have a spreadsheet that we just keep everything in that's been reviewed so that we can submit it for when we have our audit.
Yeah, and so to recap some of it too, there is really looking at like what your business requirements are, and then applying that to how you work with that vendor.
Totally.
So there's so much that goes into it. And that's also what makes a lot of the questions difficult, is because it's different from one business to the next. That's also what makes like practical labs extremely difficult, is because it's never the same. I think it was Aaron Lounge, one of his videos on YouTube, like he talked about going through ISO audits and so forth. And he's done hundreds of them, I think like 900 or something at the time. And he said that literally not a single one was identical to a previous one. It was always unique because of the environment, even at the same locations. So.
Sure. I mean, like every business is going to have their own process on how they do it. I think the important part is just to get experience doing some kind of review and understanding like why you would need to do it and like why it's important. But you're right. Like it would be hard to like, it's never going to be the same. Like every company's going to do it differently. It depends. Small businesses are going to be vastly different than like a gigantic company.
I wish everybody
who maybe is sending out a questionnaire and expecting people to answer, where we're just like collecting documents and reviewing them to assure that we feel comfortable with any changes that have been made or like findings over the last year.
So that's a feature that is in a lot of the GRC tools, but also CISO Assistant implemented that somewhat recently for third party, where you can add your third parties in and then you can actually send them a link to fill out a questionnaire and so forth. That automatically goes into the tool. It's just cool that they finally implemented it into CISO Assistant. But it does make the process a little bit easier. I think it gets a lot of hate though.
Well,
but
I mean,
you're
going to be lucky if you get a company to fill out, or like you're spending a lot of money, basically what it comes down to. Because even the company I work for, like we prioritize our enterprise customers and we don't usually fill out questionnaires for our like lower tier customers unless it's like a couple questions. But if they're trying to send us like a huge questionnaire, it's usually like, no, sorry, do you want to pay extra for this? Like, this is what we give you. This is what you get. And most people are, and we don't get a lot of pushback because it's like these like tiny little financial advisors.
Yeah, I'm not even going there. Priceless pancakes. Not today.
Oh, what with Vanta?
don't even. Yeah.
Oh
gosh, BBO's coming back in now. So AB, it's not something. So it's just like with the audio news and so forth that we started generating. I'm not going to go through and commit on going through and making a quiz if nobody asks for it. So that's kind of my perspective. Like if somebody misses the Thursday meeting and they would like to get the badge still, they're more than welcome to be like, hey, could I get a quiz? And I have no problem doing that. But doing it every single Thursday meeting or even the 2 a month, for nobody is kind of a waste of time for it. So if somebody asks for it, I'm more than willing to do that though. I don't want to add another task on my recurring and so forth if people aren't actually needing it. Now, if enough of you guys, actually want it permanent, then that's different. But I just want to make sure that, it actually gets used, not just me dropping a link. Welcome back to the party, PBO. You still have a job?
For now.
Oh, you're muted again.
Struggle streaming.
Oh, it's one of the big guys was hitting me up. I was like, uh-oh, let me see what's going on.
He's like, are you live on YouTube right now?
Nah, I ain't been asking. We were talking about something else. I was like, oh, I'll get that done ASAP. Got my little work laptop by me, so I was like, oh.
ASAP after the YouTube stream.
Yeah, the more I look at productivity, so like I did the math before, and like 5 minutes a day, 5 times a week comes out to like over 20 hours a year. And that's only 5 minutes a day, Monday through Friday. So 15 minutes a week, I'm horrible at math, but still that adds up to, 2 hours or more a month. So, but
that would be 1 hour a month.
Yeah. And here, okay, fine. 1 hour a month. See, I told you I was bad at math.
Facts. 12 hours a year.
Come on.
Here, I thought you were going to become a full-time YouTuber, PBO.
Who, me? Me? No, I don't know. Yeah. I'm not that engaging. But we'll see. But yeah, a lot of people talking about those third-party modules are pricey for third-party assessments. I think AI is going to take a lot of that out in the future.
Yeah, right after you cut out, I basically just told everyone that everything you said was incorrect.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
No, if you wanted to,
I'm not gonna.
You were saying about that.
I'm not gonna insult Steph and ask her if she has on makeup again. So I made that mistake last time. No, I think people in the chat was talking about it. Once again, depending on what data you use and the level of assessments you need. I tell a lot of people, and I think Dave, we kind of didn't get into it. A lot of people just use it as a checkbox. I think Steph mentioned as a banking industry, you have to do it. So a lot of people like, here's our standard 20 questions. We get them back. We just kind of look at them at high level, put them in a file for the auditors, right? And I tell people that's a good way to start. Let's start with compliance and move to security. Let's do some basic stuff and kind of grow into it. I think a lot of people try to do these grandioso assessments. They don't really have the technical staff to do them. Let's get the checkbox and get rolling. So that's why I tell a lot of people, just hit the checkbox for whatever compliant banking, NIST, your standard questions, encryption. But yesterday, in bigger companies, like GRC has some questions, legal has questions, procurement has questions, then security architecture, because they ask all the type of deep encryption questions come from security architects, not from GRC. So depending on how...
It really depends on how big the company is.
Fact.
Or I've noticed some of our smaller customers are hiring, like there's like specific compliance, like security companies, contractors that they're hiring to perform security reviews for them.
Fact. Shout out to me. I used to make about 20 grand on Upworks doing that. I used to come in and be the heavy for, literally, I'd be the heavy for the small companies. We doing this, and I do all the big time questions for them. So I used to make side money doing that.
So let's hire a third party
to do the third
parties.
Yeah. I'd say the craziest thing I used to do, and I had to stop doing it. A lot of Indian firms would hire me to be the face of their security inside the United States. Then I was like, nah, they're going to get me in some trouble.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is probably a flash to a news article with PBO being locked out in handcuffs.
No, PBO ain't going to never do that illegal. That's going to jeopardize. But the thing I always tell them is they got to sign off on it, all right? I give people options. PBO never makes decisions on those options, so PBO will never be in handcuffs. But no, Steph, I think that's kind of I wouldn't say the future, but third parties doing third parties, I see that. I wouldn't say a lot, but I think that's kind of a growing thing. Shout out to AB. Have a great weekend.
Oh, is AB out?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for hopping in. GRC Mafia. Priceless Pancake. Too bad your internet's kind of shoddy right now. I have a buddy who is now the CISO for an entire country. That's horrifying. He doesn't even live in that country consulting work. Oh, geez. Oh, vCISO. Regardless.
Is that company or country? Did he say that?
Yeah, could you verify?
I need to clarify. Well, people ask me to be a virtual CISO. For me, the liability of that seems crazy. Even though I do have an umbrella policy, the liability for that.
I don't think I'd want, that's not even something I even want on my roadmap. Like, that's way too much responsibility on that factor. And especially with today's landscape with, having to put it in contract for insurance and
I think
everything else.
I think that's becoming very common in virtual CISO. I think that's becoming very common, especially for startups and people trying to,
I think the average turnover is like 13 months or something.
It's pretty short. It's pretty short.
Yeah. It was either 13 or 16 months. for the average turnover, which is insane.
No, I think those are startups, but it's still pretty high. Because when I was working at the state, there was a lot of CISOs for agencies, and I don't think any of them last longer than 3 years. So they weren't very long. But
Priceless Pancake says, I don't want that ever. But based off of your video, your talk, and everything else, I mean, you could consider yourself a phantom CISO already. You just don't have the title.
Facts. But yeah, I think too the reason the turnovers for CISOs are once you become a decent CISO at a small company, people are you can jump jobs easy because people are always looking for good CISOs with some background. So I think a lot of their turnover is they're going for more money.
Yeah. Sounds like PBO's in the wrong line.
Nah, PBO's in the right line, man. All money ain't good money, man. And
Facts.
all money ain't good money, man. The older I get, all money ain't good money. And I'm a worrier, man. I've seen CISOs damn near pulling their hair out, man. I be giving people options. They were looking at me. I'm like, dude, I can't make the decision for you. That's a brutal job, man. Because every decision you have has a risk to it at a high level.
Well, it probably also depends on how much buy-in you get from your board and your executive team, and how much of a scapegoat the CISO can be.
That's what I feel like. But you know, I'm a lot of people. I grew up in the hood. I think everybody set me up, Steph. I'm like, they set me up for this to be the fall guy. So I'm like, nah, I don't want none of that stuff. I don't trust people naturally. Yeah, so that's like the fall guy. That's why I like to advise people like Steph. I give her advice, and she can make the best decision for the organization. I feel like they try to set PBO up.
Yeah, and then as we come to an end here, and before I forget again, so the giveaway for last month was like a merch pack and so forth, and one of the two individuals chose to pass it along. So we're just going to do a giveaway today. So if you guys look at the screen here, you guys can drop GRC Mafia in the YouTube chat, and it'll add you to the giveaway. And then we'll draw it right before we come to an end. So, bam.
There.
Bam. You're on the list.
Bam. Bam. My spice weasel.
I don't think I could even pull that up on here.
Is it case sensitive?
That's a good question. It is not case sensitive. Oh, you don't want to spam it, Priceless. So it actually just took Priceless Pancakes out of the poll because spammed it.
DDoSing, man. He DDoSed himself.
Let me see if I can fix that actually, because let me see if I could. Okay.
He said he was changing it to the right case to be safe.
Yeah, it is not case sensitive, but yeah, if you guys spam it, then it'll remove you from it. But yeah, just GRC Mafia in chat.
Shout out to the DDoS.
Yeah, let me see if I could share this.
He thought it was a rogue IP. It blocked him.
What about weekly wins, or was there anything else in particular you guys wanted to mention?
I'm old. I don't have weekly wins, man. It just kind of rolls. It just kind of rolls together, man. I always go for weekly losses. I'm trying to keep those to the minimum,
gosh.
Man. I had this. Nelson was up there. He was a 14 at DOD. And the one thing I always tell me goes, for every one F up, I need 10 data boys to balance it out. So I always just as long as I'm balancing my week out, man. So
keep that 10-to-1 ratio.
Yeah. And I always tell my boss, every year, I'm going to do something big. It's going to be a big mess up. I'm going to do something big. So, I don't worry about weekly wins much in my old age.
We totally revamped our incident response process. So, pretty stoked about that. New document. It took forever yesterday, but I feel really good about it.
Hey, now it's done, right?
Yeah, I mean, until
You don't have to do that
until the
for
next incident, and then you actually get to test it, and then you can like. We were talking yesterday. We're trying to look at tabletop and like walk through it, and we're like, this just isn't like you never learn nearly as much during a tabletop as you do during an actual incident.
Oh yeah, but you're 100% right. But I was telling tabletop's going to get you so at least you're not running around with your like a chicken with your head cut off, right?
Oh yeah.
You have the basics, but you're right. When the real thing happens, you like, yeah, that was nowhere in the tabletop. Long story, quick story. Long time we did that, and nobody ever tested the DNS coming back from Google. So we got everything back. It took Google's DNS 48 hours to reconnect. Even though we were back in an hour, can nobody get to it? And we like, yeah, we're gonna need to figure that out. We're gonna need to figure that out in the DNS. So long story short, yeah, Google's great, but when it takes them like, if you look on their website, it says 48 hours. So you might want to use Azure's or AWS has their DNS you can point to. So that was one of the things, like Steph said, when the real war happens, we're up, but nobody can get to us. What's going on? So.
Oh, I know. I'm mapping all of our like major cloud providers of like all of our cloud applications. And it's really funny where you're like, okay, well, I guess if Google's down, we won't be able to access like all these things won't. Yeah, and then looking at like RTO and RPO for like each one and
facts.
You ever do one for CloudStrike, blue screens of death, everybody?
No, that was one that was too big.
I use CloudStrike, thankfully.
Yeah, they got two roasters. But the one that we get from last night, the S-bomb, everybody had a Log4j inside all these third-party apps, but nobody knew it until that vulnerability came out. We were like, oh shit, we got that in like 20 apps. We need to figure out what's in these apps we buy. So it's got yeah. But that's
that also tracks back to that open source perspective too.
Facts.
Yeah, I think NIST actually published something along the lines, like on one of their blog articles regarding using like open source software and so forth in your software. So connecting to, jQuery or whatever you're working with. Like there was some provider that ended up going down because they were using the incorrect URL. Like they were using some random third parties like GitHub. JavaScript for jQuery, and then that got updated, and boom. it was bad.
The problem is a lot of times you buying these services, you don't know what's in them. You buying a service, right? So then, like Dave said, even if you say, "Are you doing the S-bomb and tracking it?" A lot of times they don't tell you what's in their software unless you specifically ask. Right? And two is a lot of times we don't ask those questions. We ask, are you doing risk assessments? And we validate your risk assessment. We don't look at the individual software a lot of times that you're running.
Yeah, and I have a question for both of you guys too, is now, especially considering third party, you want to kind of align that with like your business objectives and your guys' program and so forth. But does that entail the fact that you really have to build out your own program and be more mature before you take on the third party risk management?
I'll let Steph, ladies first. I'll let Steph go.
Well, I don't know how you do that if it's like you're completely cloud-based and you're like relying on third parties completely. Is that your question?
Well, so like a small mom and pop shop and so forth, could they really effectively do third party risk management if they don't have compliance themselves?
Yes. At a high level, you want me to tell you how they do it? They delegate it to the more mature people like Steph. That's why we buy her software. I'm paying her to do it, not me. That's how a lot of people do.
Third party.
I mean, I think it really depends on like what it is, and do you need to do a lot of third party risk management because you're storing a lot of sensitive data?
Right.
Like you don't really need to do a lot of third party risk management unless it's like business impact analysis where it's like things go down and I'm effed if you can't access it. But the third party like risk management is more of like data storing and processing, and like your data is being stored there. Like you have customer data that's being stored. So like, I think it really depends. Like if it's just like, I don't know, if you're just using like general products, it's probably, and you're not storing any sensitive data with PII, and is it nearly as important? Probably not.
And I think she brought up the excellent point, because I always start off with data classification. But the other part I tell small companies that are doing business is you want to sound like you know what you're doing. So I'm going to put all that on Steph and her company. she's gonna give me all the verbiage. So when I sell my service and using her service as a third party, I need all those buzzwords to sell it to my customers, right? Especially if I'm immature. So I see a lot of smaller companies doing that, right? You get the buzzword, then they ask you, "Are you S-bomb?" Then you say, "Steph, are we S-bombing?" Oh, yes, we are, right? So Hightower, PBR, we doing this, or we FedRAMP the pool, or we doing, FIPS 140-3 endpoints. Why, yes, we are. Then they tell their clients, yes, we are, right? So I think you get that. So that's how I see less mature people relying, and that's why smaller companies go on to AWS and come back. Like last night, I have a ton of small companies telling me, I'm in AWS, I'm good. No, you're not. You have to configure it correctly. How are you doing your keys? How are you doing your endpoints, right? But they think in AWS they're good because they're relying on AWS to do all that for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just kind of curious because there does seem to be a lot of discussion around third-party risk management and so forth. But then also, like,
we got real quick, we got tore up over the last 3 years. You know how probably every year you had a big third-party hack that got everybody toast. So now everybody's saying they got to do it. I don't think half the people don't know what they're doing, but they like, you got to do third party.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I was asking about that, is because like a lot of these companies don't even have anything internally, but then they're all worried about third party. But just like Steph was saying, is it really depends on what data is it? What does it actually affect?
Well, so I don't think a lot of people take that into account. They just know they need to be doing it. And a lot of times, Steph's where it is, your CEOs hanging out with people that just talk. So they come back and say, are we doing third party? So now you scrambling to do third party. Like, well, you can't really tell the CEO, well, we don't really want to do that because our data's not at that level. They don't want to hear that. So you got to do something. I don't know. I'll let Steph chime in. I see a lot of people waving their hands. We're doing something. So,
yeah, I mean, some people just want to check
doing stuff. It's fine. What was that stuff?
Oh, I think some people just want to check a box. Like they don't really understand necessarily why you would need to do third-party vendor due diligence or why it would be relevant, but they've heard that it's important. And it just really depends on your business and like, what are you trying to secure here? And like, is it proprietary data or is it customer data? Like what you need to know what the data is.
I shake my head because half the people don't know where their data is at, man. I go on to small companies, but I'm like, okay, we get some Fed data. Where is it passing through? Everybody's kind of like, well, we got some servers over here, some stuff over here, some database. So I'm like, I need to know exactly where it's at.
Well,
they have no
idea.
You
said last night, their workflow is probably like, oh yeah, we just make it and then we just email it over to this email that nobody checks.
Oh yeah, facts. Data sharing.
Over in that mailbox somewhere.
Yeah, the question stuff was what's the biggest thing I see with problems with data sharing? I have Fortune 500 companies emailing me findings. I'm like, dude, you just sit that off a clear internet. But I'm like, hey, dude, if they like it, I love it. But I see that way more than I thought I would, to be honest.
Yeah, and then also last call for this giveaway. So if you guys want to participate with it, GRC Mafia in chat. Just don't spam it. A mention from Josh too. I need to catch up / replay the talk, but TPRM is a really big part of any decent due diligence. Also, I was going to mention is that for the different presentations we have, we actually trim that down and then publish that separately the following week. So I believe Monday, PBO's presentation only will also be published. We have a playlist on YouTube with just presentations.
I'm glad you said that. I was noticing. I'm like, what? How's it coming out twice? I was confused. I'm like, what are they doing? Okay, that makes sense. But no, I agree with that on due diligence. I think that's another reason people are really doing third party. Their legal staff is telling them we at least at a high level gotta check these boxes on any software we're using, or we're gonna be considered negligent. So I think that's a big push for third party. I don't know. I just see people do the checkbox with the third party. So,
yeah, the uppercase, lowercase does not matter. Any final last words? So also to respect everybody's time and so forth. We do try to keep these to about an hour.
Yeah, people, he need his job, man. The job market sucks out here.
Have work to do.
Yeah, it sucks out here. The job market sucks.
Final last words, PVO.
Oh no, great stream. Check out, what would you call it when people schedule a meeting with you?
Coffee with the Mafia.
Yeah, check out the Coffee with the Mafia. If Chris or B-Dubs can definitely summon me if they need me to assist on one of those.
You're our tier 2 for that, actually.
Oh, I'm tier. Oh, damn, I'm tier 2. I got a raise. I know I was tier 2. I learned something every day.
That implemented.
Oh wow. I'm gonna have to have a conversation with Chris. I got on I look on the YouTube. I'm like, oh wow, I'm presenting on Thursday. No, shout out to Chris. But no, stay in, keep grinding. It's definitely a hard job market. Don't give up. Like everybody said, this domain is huge. You just gotta find a spot for you. That's all I got for everybody. Have a great weekend.
B-Dubs, if you're still there, any final last words?
Yeah, I'm here. Always here. I mean, yeah, and don't forget to, have that work-life balance too. People close to you are important. Jobs are going to replace you in a heartbeat, but you can't replace people. So,
I'm really sick
family
and tired
whatnot.
of you personally attacking me.
I'm just saying, go touch grass.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Get away from a computer for like 5 minutes.
Thanks.
Grind till you can't grind anymore. Go ahead, B-Dubs. My bad.
But yeah, I mean, time is about our most valuable resource, and people, you can't get that time back with people close to you. So, gotta have that balance. Unless you're PBO or Chris, then I guess you're exempt. But
well, no, Chris got a wife. Don't nobody want me, so that my balance is just on
the main thing is this industry is difficult to get into, right?
Nice.
So don't overwork yourself. Don't burn out because you're giving up things that are important to you. You have to have that balance, and you're gonna get there eventually. It just takes time and persistence and patience and all the things. But yeah, you can't get that time back with people. So just don't forget that.
I also think the same thing is true about climbing the ladder. Like we were talking about earlier with money, like sometimes having a job with good benefits that you can take time off, you might not get paid as much as another role, but maybe you don't have to work as hard. So
X.
No,
it's give and take.
I agree with that because some jobs you make a lot of money. I seen people. I seen this one guy. True story. My boss put so much pressure on this guy. His heart started skipping. We had to call an ambulance. I was like,
oh man.
So yeah. I've seen some weird stuff in my time. So
I mean, like PBO said, not all money is good money.
Yeah,
so
pick your battles. Pick your battles. Like I said, I made a lot of money, and like you said, there's always a balance. Because you make a lot of money, they gonna take a pound of flesh for that money. I promise you, they gonna get it. So
more money, more problems.
Facts. Shout out to Steph. Steph throwing out game today. We're gonna end it on that, Chris. I'm gonna have Chris end it on that.
Oh gosh.
End it on that. More money, more problems.
Any final last words there, Steph, to add to that as well?
Nope. Just hope everybody has a relaxing weekend.
Bam. Yeah, let's go ahead and do the drawing here real quick. So you guys were given warning. Let's see. Space tacos. I think. Winner message. Is that what it picked? I think that's how it works. We don't use this very often, but it looks like it picks space tacos. So bam.
I think it's rigged. We need to see the.
I need 100% rigged.
I need to see the code for this. We're gonna do a third-party assessment. I need to see the code.
We're waiting for the winner to send a message.
I need to see the code for the random generator.
Is not open source software.
I need to see.
Yeah, Nightbot put it in chat too.
Yep.
Actually, I think it is actually open source software. Does it? We don't use this very often, so this is only the second time I've used the giveaway function on Nightbot.
We need to see the third-party assessment for this, Chris. We need to see the third party.
Oh gosh.
We need assessment for the
You're gonna have to spend more money for that PVO.
See the assessment. All facts.
All right, yeah. Thank you guys for coming up here on stage. Great questions and discussion and chat and so forth. You guys have a great weekend. The number one thing I want to end with is get those other perspectives, whether it's from our community. Definitely reach out to other communities and so forth too. Don't become a victim. And yeah, ask questions and so forth. GRC Mafia, you guys have a great weekend. Let's go.
We the best. DJ Khaled, we the best. DJ Khaled, we got the best community.
Shout out to you, PBO.